The Galactic Hegemony's Grand Admiral Vector stood on the bridge of his flagship, his four eyes narrowing as he studied the holographic display of the insignificant blue planet before him. His species had conquered thousands of worlds across the galaxy, and this would be no different. The reports from his scouts called these humans primitive, barely able to reach their own solar system's edge. "Send the standard warning message," Vector ordered with a dismissive wave of his upper arm. "Give them one standard rotation to surrender, as per protocol." The response came faster than expected. A human ambassador appeared on the main screen, standing straight and calm. "Hegemony forces, we advise you to reconsider your actions. Humanity does not wish for war, but we must warn you. If you choose this path, you will regret it. We have mastered the art of warfare in ways you cannot imagine. Please, turn back." Laughter erupted across the bridge. Vector himself clicked his mandibles in amusement. Such boldness from a species that hadn't even developed proper faster-than-light travel. Instead of waiting the full rotation period, he decided to make an example of their closest colony world, Mars. "Launch the first wave," he commanded. 500 warships, each carrying enough firepower to level a continent, moved toward the red planet. Their sensors showed only a few million colonists with primitive dome structures and basic defense systems. This would be over in minutes. The first sign that something was wrong came when 3 of his ships suddenly vanished from the tactical display. Not damaged, simply gone. Before Vector could process this, dozens of small objects appeared from behind Mars' moons, moving at impossible speeds. "Sir, the humans are using some form of nuclear propulsion system we've never seen before," his science officer reported, confusion evident in his voice. "They're weapons. They're not standard energy-based systems. They're using kinetic weapons." Vector watched in horror as the small human ships executed maneuvers that should have torn them apart. They were fighting like no species he'd ever encountered, using the gravity wells of Mars and its moons to slingshot their ships at devastating speeds. Each human vessel seemed to fight independently, yet somehow as part of a coordinated chaos that his fleet couldn't predict or counter. "Impossible," Vector whispered as he watched a human ship deliberately collide with one of his cruisers, its nuclear core detonating in a carefully calculated explosion that took out 3 more hegemony vessels. These humans were willing to sacrifice themselves to take out superior forces, a concept alien to the hegemony's careful defensive warfare doctrine. The battle lasted only 2 hours. When it was over, Vector's invasion fleet was in ruins. 2/3 of his ships were destroyed or disabled, and the rest were retreating in disarray. The humans hadn't even deployed their main fleet from Earth yet. This was just their colonial defense force. As his damaged flagship limped away from Mars, another transmission came through. The same human ambassador appeared, looking sad rather than triumphant. "We tried to warn you. This was only a small demonstration of humanity's capability for warfare. Please, take this lesson and leave. We don't want to show you what our actual military can do." Back in the hegemony's capital, the Council of Elders received Vector's defeat report with stunned silence. In 50,000 years of expansion, they had never lost a single major battle. As emergency meetings were called, and analysts scrambled to understand what had happened, one thing became clear. They had badly underestimated these humans. And somewhere in the vast database of human transmissions they'd intercepted, a single Earth phrase began to take on ominous new meaning. "We're not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with us." Senior analyst Sexna's hands trembled as she compiled her report for the Hegemony Council. After 3 straight days of studying human historical records, she hadn't slept. She couldn't sleep. What she had discovered about these humans terrified her too much. "Begin recording." She spoke to her computer. "Priority report on human warfare analysis. Classification level. Highest emergency." She pulled up the first image on her screen. Ancient human cave paintings showing humans hunting other humans. Species analysis reveals disturbing patterns. Unlike every other known species, humans didn't adapt hunting tools into weapons. They created weapons specifically to kill each other. Their entire history is marked by constant warfare against themselves. Her second screen displayed scenes from something humans called World War II. Massive metal vehicles called tanks crushed everything in their path. Flying machines dropped devastating bombs. Millions died in organized combat that spanned their entire planet. The humans have been practicing war against themselves for their entire recorded history, she continued, her voice shaking. They call it innovation through conflict. While the hegemony has fought the same way for 50,000 years, humans have developed and discarded countless fighting styles and strategies. They are always learning, always adapting. A third screen showed more recent footage. Human soldiers training in various environments. Deserts, jungles, Arctic wastelands, and even underwater. Their warriors train constantly for every possible scenario. They have special forces adapted for every environment we could throw at them. And worse, she paused, struggling to maintain her professional tone. They seem to enjoy the challenge. Zexna switched to industrial reports. Human manufacturing capabilities far exceed our initial estimates. They can convert civilian factories to military production in days, not years like our facilities. They call this wartime economy. An entire society focused on war production. Her computer chimed with a new alert. She opened it and froze. Emergency update. Human military mobilization has begun. Their nations, previously engaged in minor conflicts with each other, have unanimously voted to unite against us. They call it the Earth Defense Coalition. She pulled up the latest satellite feeds. Massive ships were under construction in orbital shipyards that didn't exist a week ago. Ground factories were working around the clock. Military bases were buzzing with activity. The humans have been hiding their true capabilities, she reported, her voice now urgent. Our initial scans showed primitive technology because that's what they wanted us to see. New intelligence suggests they have weapons and defense systems far beyond what we initially detected. They'd been preparing for a scenario like this for centuries. Zexna looked at her final piece of evidence, intercepted human military communications. Most alarming is their tactical diversity. Every human nation has developed different fighting styles and strategies. Now they're combining them all. Chinese stealth technology, American logistics, Russian endurance, Israeli intelligence gathering, Japanese robotics. They're creating a military force unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. She concluded her report with the gravest warning she could give. The Council must understand. We haven't just awakened a sleeping giant. We've awakened a giant that has spent its entire existence fighting itself, perfecting the art of war in ways we never imagined possible. And now, for the first time in their history, all of humanity's military might is pointed at a single enemy, us. Just as she finished recording, her emergency scanner lit up. Human ships had been detected moving through the outer colonies, but something was wrong. They were moving far too fast, using jump patterns that should have been impossible. Zexna quickly added one final note to her report. The humans aren't coming in a year or a month. They're already here. And they're not the primitives we thought they were. They're the most dangerous species we've ever encountered, because unlike us, they never stopped preparing for war. Operation Thunderbolt began in complete silence. 5,000 human warships dropped out of stealth mode simultaneously, surrounding the hegemony's primary military base in the Centauri sector. Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen sat calmly in her command chair aboard the ESS Humanity's Pride, watching as panic spread through the alien defense network. "Let them see us for 30 seconds, she ordered, a small smile playing on her lips. "Let them realize what they're facing." The hegemony's response was exactly what Earth's military psychologists had predicted. Their ships formed perfect defensive patterns, just as they had for the past 50,000 years. Beautiful, organized, and completely predictable. "All ships, execute jump pattern Delta," Sarah commanded. In an instant, the human fleet disappeared again, only to reappear scattered throughout the alien formation. The hegemony's perfect patterns became their perfect trap. How? The alien commander's transmission was filled with disbelief. Your ships can't make jumps that precise. It's mathematically impossible. Sarah's response was calm. Impossible for you, perhaps, but humans specialized in doing the impossible. She switched to fleet-wide communications. All ships, weapons-free. Show them what humanity can do. The battle that followed would be studied in alien war colleges for centuries to come. Human ships moved in ways that defied conventional space combat doctrine. Civilian mining vessels, converted for war, used their industrial cutting beams as weapons. Cargo ships released swarms of autonomous combat drones. Every human vessel fought differently, making their attacks impossible to predict. Back on Earth, the United Earth Defense Council watched the battle through quantum-linked feeds. Representatives from every nation sat together, their old rivalries forgotten in the face of an external threat. The Chinese general nodded in approval as American stealth technology combined perfectly with Russian heavy weapons. The Israeli commander smiled as Indian cyber warfare systems shut down alien communications. Send in the second wave, ordered Council President Okonjo. The massive screen showed hundreds of jump points opening as Earth's main battle fleet arrived. The aliens had thought the first 5,000 ships were humanity's main force. They were wrong. In the Hegemony Command Center, panic turned to chaos. Their sensors showed impossible readings. Human ships were using their FTL drives in ways that violated every known law of physics. They jumped into and out of combat at will, appearing inside planetary defense shields that should have been impenetrable. "Sir," Sarah's tactical officer called out, "the Hegemony is bringing in reinforcements from their core worlds." Perfect. Sarah's smile widened. That's exactly what we wanted them to do. She opened a channel to Earth. Operation Thunderbolt Phase 2 is ready. Their forces are exactly where we predicted they would be. Across human space, hidden shipyards revealed themselves. Massive fleets that had been building in secret for months emerged from camouflaged positions. The Hegemony had thought they were pushing humanity back to Earth. Instead, they had been following humanity's carefully laid plan, positioning their forces exactly where Earth wanted them. All Earth forces, execute final attack pattern. Sarah commanded. Show them why we warned them to run. The Hegemony's supposedly invincible defense fleets found themselves caught between multiple human attack forces, each using different tactics and technologies. Their rigid command structure couldn't adapt fast enough to the chaos of human warfare. As the battle turned into a rout, Sarah received one final transmission from the alien commander. "Why didn't we see this coming? How did you hide such power?" "Because," she replied, "while you spent 50,000 years perfect one way of fighting, we spent our history learning every way to fight. And we're just getting started." The battle ended in less than 6 hours. The Hegemony lost their largest military base and 3 fleets. Humanity had announced its arrival on the galactic stage not with words, but with actions. And this was only the beginning. Supreme Commander Caxtil of the Hegemony Defense Force slammed his fist on the holographic display table. Another fleet lost. Another strategy failed. Another defeat at the hands of these impossible humans. "Show me the battle footage again," he demanded. His staff tensed as the recording began playing. This time, the humans had used civilian transport ships as carriers, hiding military vessels inside what appeared to be regular cargo containers. When the Hegemony fleet approached to perform standard inspections, they found themselves surrounded by warships that seemed to appear from nowhere. 60 ships lost, his aide reported quietly. The humans didn't lose any. "How do they keep doing this?" Caxtil demanded. "Every time we adapt to their tactics, they use completely different ones. It's like fighting a new species in every battle." The next report made things even worse. A human fleet had just attacked one of their primary shipyards, but instead of destroying it, they captured it intact. The human ships had released swarms of small robots that took control of the facility's systems in minutes. Now the humans were using hegemony technology to build their own ships, improving upon designs that had remained unchanged for millennia. "Sir," his strategic analyst spoke up, "we've identified a pattern in their unpredictability. The humans are recreating historical battles from their past, but adapting them for space warfare." The display showed multiple human battle formations. This attack mimicked something they call the Battle of Midway. This one copied Operation Desert Storm. Each time, they take ancient tactics and modify them with modern technology. A junior officer rushed in with more disturbing news. The humans had deployed what they called combat evolution AIs, artificial intelligences that learned and adapted during battle faster than any organic commander could think. These AIs weren't just fighting. They were teaching each other, sharing battle data in real time. Their ships aren't following any standard combat doctrine, the analyst continued. Each human nation has contributed different fighting styles. Japanese precision strikes, American overwhelming force, British naval tactics adapted for space, Russian endurance and deception, Chinese cyber warfare. They mix and match these approaches randomly. Caxtil watched as footage showed human ships performing maneuvers that his own crews would consider suicidal. But the humans had practiced these dangerous tactics countless times in their own wars. They knew exactly how far they could push their ships and crews. Even their civilian ships fight differently, another officer added. Human merchant vessels carry weapons we've never seen before. Their mining ships use industrial equipment as military tools. Every human ship, military or civilian, is a potential threat. The Supreme Commander's thoughts were interrupted by alert sirens. A human fleet had just appeared near another hegemony base, but when their defenders arrived, they found only holographic projections. The real attack came from a completely different direction. "Sir," his aide said hesitantly, "the troops are talking. They say humans are demons who enjoy war, that we can't beat an enemy who has spent their entire history fighting themselves." Caxtil couldn't argue with that fear. Every hegemony tactic was documented, practiced, and perfected over millennia. But the humans, they improvised, adapted, and seemed to relish creating new ways to fight. A final report arrived. 3 more hegemony worlds had surrendered without a fight. They'd seen the pattern of defeat and chose to avoid destruction. The humans accepted each surrender with surprising grace, immediately providing aid and resources to their former enemies. "Perhaps," Caxtil said quietly, "this is why they warned us to run. We thought we were the galaxy's greatest warriors because we perfected one way of fighting. But the humans..." He looked at the battle footage again, showing human ships dancing through space in deadly, beautiful patterns. The humans mastered a million ways to fight, and they're teaching us that perfect order cannot defeat perfect chaos. Dr. Emma Rodriguez sat in front of her computer terminal at the Earth Defense Force Psychological Operations Center, watching as her latest broadcast spread across the hegemony's communication networks. On her screen, scenes from Earth's history played out in vivid detail. The ancient battles of Alexander the Great, Napoleon's campaigns, the world wars, modern conflicts. "Are you sure this isn't too cruel?" her assistant asked, watching alien civilians react with horror to footage of tank battles and aerial bombardments. "This isn't about cruelty," Emma replied, adjusting her glasses. "This is about ending the war faster. The hegemony needs to understand who they're fighting." Across hegemony space, the broadcasts were having their intended effect. Alien children asked their parents why humans had so many different ways to fight. Military recruits deserted their posts after watching documentaries about guerrilla warfare. Civilian protests broke out on dozens of worlds. In the hegemony's Grand Council chamber, representatives from their client species demanded answers. The Valkyrie, a peaceful race known for their advanced technology, spoke first. "You promised us the humans would fall easily," their ambassador hissed. "Instead, they adapt to every strategy we use. They turn our own weapons against us." And now, the ambassador played a human broadcast showing the Battle of Thermopylae. "They celebrate their ancient warriors. They teach their children about war. What kind of species does this? The Hegemony Council leader tried to maintain order, but more representatives stood up. The Zinthar, master traders of the galaxy, announced they were opening secret negotiations with Earth. The warrior Krell, who had fought alongside the Hegemony for 10,000 years, declared neutrality after watching humans fight with what they called honor. On her screen, Emma watched satisfaction as her next broadcast went live. This one showed something different. Humans helping their enemies after victory. The Berlin Airlift. The Marshall Plan. Peace treaties and reconstruction efforts. Now we show them the other side of humanity, she said. We're not just good at fighting. We're good at making peace too. The broadcast showed human medical ships helping wounded Hegemony soldiers. Earth's aid workers rebuilding destroyed alien cities. Former enemy worlds prospering under fair peace terms. In her private quarters aboard the Hegemony flagship, High Admiral Galactic watched the human broadcasts with growing despair. Her own crew was beginning to question their leaders. Why had they never developed new weapons? Why did they fight the same way for 50,000 years? Why had they attacked a species that had mastered the art of war in ways they could barely understand? Admiral, her second-in-command reported, 3 more border worlds have requested human protection. They say they trust Earth more than the Hegemony now. Lexexi couldn't blame them. The humans fought with incredible skill and power, but they also showed mercy to those who surrendered. They'd rebuilt what they destroyed. They treated prisoners with respect. Back on Earth, Emma received news that made her smile. The Hegemony's oldest and strongest ally, the cybernetic Ixthuri, had just announced they were switching sides. The humans understand war better than any species we have encountered, the Ixthuri leader declared. But more importantly, they understand peace. They fight not because they love war, but because they want to end it quickly. We choose to stand with humanity. In the Hegemony Council chamber, panic turned to chaos as more reports arrived. Human ships were appearing everywhere, using secret jump points that should have been impossible to find. Their broadcasts were reaching every world, showing both humanity's skill in war and their dedication to peace. We should have listened when they warned us to run, one council member whispered. They weren't threatening us. They were trying to save us from our own foolishness. The Hegemony was facing its greatest crisis in 50,000 years. Not just military defeat, but the complete collapse of their authority. And the humans weren't just winning the war in space. They were winning the hearts and minds of the galaxy. General Michael Zhang stood in Earth's combined military command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing thousands of human ships moving into position. After months of planning, Operation Endgame was about to begin. All fleets report ready, his AI assistant announced. Russian stealth ships are in position. Indian cyber warfare units have penetrated their networks. Japanese precision strike teams await your command. Michael nodded, his face serious. Send the message to all commands. Operation Endgame is go. Show them everything we've got. Across Hegemony space, human forces attacked simultaneously on multiple fronts. But this wasn't just a military assault. It was warfare on every possible level. In the economic sector, human AI traders crashed the Hegemony's financial markets. In space, Earth's ships appeared from hidden jump points, using combat maneuvers that the aliens still couldn't predict. On the ground, special forces teams that had trained in every possible environment struck critical targets. Sir, his communications officer called out, Brazilian guerrilla tactics are working perfectly. The enemy can't tell our military ships from civilian vessels anymore. On the main screen, Michael watched as American heavy carriers launched waves of fighters. Chinese electromagnetic weapons shut down entire defense grids. British Space Marines boarded and captured key space stations. The Hegemony's rigid command structure crumbled under the assault. They couldn't adapt fast enough to human tactics that changed with every engagement. While they tried to coordinate their response, Earth's forces were already moving to their next objectives. "We've found it, sir," A young lieutenant rushed forward with exciting news. Israeli intelligence has located their central command bunker. It's been hidden for 50,000 years, but we found it. Michael allowed himself a small smile. The hegemony's leaders had hidden their command center inside a hollow moon, thinking no one could ever find it. They hadn't counted on humanity's determination or creativity. Australian Special Forces are ready for insertion, his tactical officer reported. Canadian EMP weapons will disable their defenses. Mexican cyber teams have control of their security systems. The general checked the time. Everything was moving exactly according to plan. Each human nation contributed what they did best, creating a fighting force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Sir, the hegemony is trying to redirect forces to protect their command center, another officer announced. Perfect, Michael replied. That's exactly what we wanted. Spring the trap. As the hegemony ships rushed to defend their leaders, they flew straight into carefully prepared ambushes. Human vessels appeared from hidden positions, using tactics from every major battle in Earth's history. German precision strikes have disabled their flagship, the AI reported. French strategic forces have cut off their retreat paths. Korean cyber units have scrambled their communications. In the hegemony's command bunker, their leaders watched in horror as 50,000 years of military dominance crumbled in a single day. Human forces weren't just winning. They were executing a master plan that had anticipated every hegemony response. How? The hegemony's supreme commander demanded. How can they coordinate such complex attacks? The answer was simple. Humanity had been practicing. Every nation on Earth contributed their military expertise, creating a fighting force that combined the best tactics from countless wars and cultures. Italian infiltration teams have secured their data centers, Michael's AI announced. South African special forces have captured their backup command posts. Nigerian electronic warfare units have blinded their sensors. Michael watched as the final phases of the operation unfolded. The hegemony's supposedly impregnable defenses fell one by one to human ingenuity and determination. Send the message to all forces, he ordered. The hegemony's military capability is broken. Now we show them why humanity's greatest weapon isn't our ability to fight, it's our ability to win peace. As the battle concluded, Michael remembered the warning they had given the hegemony months ago. They should have run when they had the chance. Instead, they learned why humanity was the most dangerous species in the galaxy, because they had spent their entire history learning how to end wars, not just how to fight them. The hegemony's capital world hung in space before the massive human fleet. United Earth Force ships surrounded the planet, their weapons powered down but ready. Inside the Grand Council chamber, something unprecedented was happening. Humans were offering peace to their defeated enemies. Ambassador Diana Chen stood before the Hegemony Council, her voice calm and clear. Behind her, screens showed Earth's fleet, powerful enough to destroy everything, yet choosing not to fire. You thought we were primitives, Diana said, looking at each council member. You ignored our warning to run, but now you understand. Humanity isn't dangerous because we love war. We're dangerous because we understand both war and peace better than any species in the galaxy. The alien leaders shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Their mighty empire, undefeated for 50,000 years, had been brought to its knees in less than a year. Your scientists probably wonder how we defeated you so easily, Diana continued. The answer is simple. While you spent 50,000 years perfecting one way of fighting, we spent our history learning millions of ways to both fight and make peace. She gestured, and the screens changed to show human aid ships already helping wounded hegemony soldiers. Earth doctors treated alien civilians. Human engineers helped rebuild destroyed infrastructure. We could destroy your empire completely, Diana said. Our fleet commanders want to. Our soldiers are ready. But humanity has learned the hardest lesson in our bloody history. True victory isn't about destruction. It's about building something better from the ashes of war. The council leader spoke up, his voice shaking. What are your terms? Diana smiled and pressed a button on her tablet. The peace terms appeared on all screens: fair, respectful, and surprisingly generous. First, the hegemony will become a democratic federation. All member species will have equal votes. No more empire, no more conquests. She continued down the list. Second, Earth will help modernize your technology and military, not for conquest, but for defense. Third, all species under your rule will be free to choose their own path. Fourth, we will share our knowledge and help you build a better society. The council members looked confused. One stood up. These terms, they're not punishment. Why show mercy when you could destroy us? Diana's answer was simple: because humanity's greatest strength isn't our ability to wage war. It's our ability to build peace. We fought you with everything we had because that was the fastest way to end the conflict. Now we'll help you with everything we have because that's the best way to prevent future wars. Outside the council chamber, humans and aliens were already working together. Earth's construction ships helped repair battle damage. Human teachers shared knowledge with eager alien students. Former enemies learned to trust each other. There's one more thing, Diana added. We want you to understand why we fought so hard. She played one final video, scenes from Earth's history. But this time, it showed how former enemies became allies. Germans and British working together. Japanese and Americans trading and sharing culture. Old hatreds replaced by friendship and cooperation. This is humanity's real power, she explained. We fought countless wars against ourselves, but from each conflict, we learned how to build lasting peace. We don't want to rule you. We want to teach you what we learned through millennia of conflict and reconciliation. The council leader stood, tears in his multiple eyes. We understand now. Your warning to run wasn't just about your military power. It was about all of this. Your ability to fight, to win, and then to forgive. As Diana left the chamber, she saw human and alien children playing together in a rebuilt park. Former enemy soldiers shared meals and stories. Scientists from both sides excitedly discussed new discoveries. The war was over. The real victory, teaching the galaxy about peace, was just beginning. Humanity had proved itself the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not through destruction, but through the power to build something better from the ruins of war.